Hello, everybody. I'm Zongets134,
As always,
the fierce emissary of hell. And with us,
as always, I'm Average Joe Squad.
better known as the Human Spider. And then with us tonight, we've got...
I'm Jared, hi.
I'm Alex.
Name's Jaden.
And welcome to another episode of Remember the Hyphen, the show where we look at comic books, movies, and everything in between. And I'm not even bullshitting you guys. We just got out of Spider-Man No Way Fucking Home.
And never again will we ever have Spidey-Miss fall on a fucking month where an actual Spider-Man movie comes out.
Yeah.
That will never happen again. That was perfect timing.
Oh, yeah, and welcome back to Spider-Miss, the end of the year thing when we look at all sorts of Spider-Man stuff. And like he said, this is gonna
Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. So yeah, this is the third of the MCU Spider-Man films. This of course is the sequel to No Way Home, which was the sequel to Homecoming.
Far From Home, even.
Far From Home.
Too many homes.
Too many homes.
Yeah, I
Spider-Man
No
has
rent, no rent, no home. That's
No rent,
what I
no-
wanted.
Spider-Man, no rent, no
From the
home.
YouTube video. Leave.
He just cuts, he's gone.
Give me rent.
Give me rent.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door. God, we've been doing that all fucking day too.
Peter, I need rent to fix the door.
I'll say it later.
But yeah, so going in, guys, there's gonna be spoilers. Why the fuck did you click on this if you didn't want spoilers?
Why are you on the internet in general if you're trying to avoid spoilers?
But just to give you a quick summation of, our feelings on it, I love this movie.
Loved it. Gonna give it an 8.5 out of stars out of 10.
Yeah, I'd probably give it an 8.5, 8.5 too.
I'm so excited I can't even talk properly.
Yeah, no. You guys, what your feelings before we?
Ratings out of 10?
Out of 10,
Out of 10.
I had to sit on. I've seen it 3 times, so I had to sit on it.
This man back here has seen it twice, so I gotta catch up to him.
3 times.
I mean, we're going to see it again tomorrow night. So.
Tomorrow.
We ain't worthy, Jared.
No, I'm just saying, because when I first got, should I give my first review when I first got out yesterday, or should I give my review as it stands now? Because it has changed.
It was hard because I was like, don't spoil me, man. Like I don't
Do
want
the,
to. I don't
do
want
the
to know.
initial review.
My initial review was, I was very confused about that. I didn't know how to feel. I felt it was giant. It was so much to process. I couldn't just walk out and say I liked it.
Yeah, that was my feeling going into this. I was just like, what the I don't know how to unpack this.
Right, because they're so ambitious they try to wrap so many things up.
Yeah.
They try to be conclusive with 5 previous movies, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I think Spider-Verse did it better. I still think that way, but I cannot deny that every time I've seen this movie, I like it more and more.
Like it's grown on you.
It is
basically.
growing on me because I'm digesting things, and I can watch each consecutive viewing.
Well, and that's one thing I've always loved about rewatching a film is that you not only do you notice stuff that you didn't see before, but you can come to appreciate different parts of it, because you know what's coming. So like you can kind of like zone in on it a little more and be like, okay, like let me think about it like from a different angle,
you
kind
can
of.
be more analytical with it.
Yeah, exactly.
So say now that I know where it's going, I can go, oh, I can see why they put that line there because it pays off. The Statue of Liberty line pays off later. They set up certain things.
It's especially true if you've watched Hawkeye.
Because they show the statue with the shield on it in Hawkeye. It's in one of the widescreen shots. Yeah.
No.
So it's already constructed because
Yeah.
In fact, this is kind
because
of taking place during Hawkeye.
Because Hawkeye takes place 2 years after
Oh, it takes
Endgame.
Yeah.
It takes two years after that.
okay, the timeline of the MCU is
I'm not sure exactly when this takes place.
Well, it's taking place during Loki. I can tell you that fucking much with the ending.
Well, that and,
oh yeah.
this is like right after Far From Home, and Far From Home was only a couple of months.
No.
So
You don't think there's a
obviously
time
by the
skip?
time of Hawkeye, they get the thing fixed.
But the seasons change. As
There is some season shades, but it's hard for
Yeah.
me to tell exactly how much
Right.
time is passing in this film. But
yeah,
So my initial reaction was I felt it was a little too big for my personal tastes. But like I said, Holland does lead the movie. I was afraid, I personally don't think every character had to have as much screen time as and emotional send off as they did. I still feel that way, but I give it about it's an 8. It's ambitious. It could have been way worse. They kept the focus where it needed to be in the end.
it was a movie that would have been a 2-tape movie, definitely, if it was a VHS release.
I think it should have been a 2-parter. Okay.
Honestly, I'm gonna be like one of the 10 dentists. I give it a 1. Plus 9.
He's out.
I,
All right, get out. Get out.
that's okay. We need him as an outlier.
I actually love the film. And I only seen it once, so maybe I should see it again. But
Tomorrow.
See it 3 times, one for every Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
No, I loved it. I felt like they gave Toby enough screen time. It was he gave witty remarks a lot. I'm actually kind of surprised on how much he's aged in the film. That was one of my biggest surprises. I'm like, wow, okay, he's aged quite a bit. But
I don't think he aged a bit better than Han Solo did, but
Oh, boy. It's been how many years?
But no, it was a great film. I don't have too many complaints. I still have to kind of rationalize my thoughts a little bit, but I'll leave it at that. Jaden, you?
Well, I gotta give it a 10.
Really?
Yes. I mean,
kind of fucking reaching, but all right.
Yes.
I mean, it was also my first time watching it as well, and I did like Toby's screen time. That was one of my favorites. But I mean, yeah, overall, like the movie length was pretty decent as well. That's what I liked about that as well.
It did not feel rushed to
It
me.
didn't.
Yes.
Pacing was very well.
That was one thing I was worried about going in was pacing.
yeah. As someone who's forgive me for like who likes to watch like Sentai and Kamen Rider, where they do like big ambitious crossovers, where they have characters from like the 70s and 80s meeting the characters from the 2000s. I was worried it was gonna there's just gonna be shit all over.
It was going to turn into a mess.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I love those. Like they're fun messes, but no, this
This is important.
This is
It doesn't-
important,
didn't
and
need that.
yeah, no, I'm glad it didn't. I mean, granted, some of them aren't that bad, but like, you know, when you have like 200 characters on screen, it gets a little
Yeah.
yeah, but there's just a lot to unpack
I mean, it
right
could
now.
have been. It could have been so much. It could have been like so much messier, but they kept the focus where it needed to be. It was
Yeah.
Holland's story, and they kept it right on him.
And I will say too that when Defoe showed up, as Adam will attest, me and him could only get so erect, and then they cut
I
it
know.
off, they cut it off, and I'm like,
I know.
the fuck did y'all do this to me?
That
bro?
Now,
was
why
the
the fuck
moment.
you out here edging me like this? I don't really fucking
don't need-
appreciate that.
I don't need to be blue balled by the fucking Marvel
And they
group.
brought
Thanks.
back a little bit of that snippet of Elfman's score.
Oh yeah, I heard
The
that.
laugh. Oh, dude.
I'm pretty sure there was some stuff from the Amazing films in there.
There was
but, like,
Hans
I-
Zimmer was in there. I
Well,
noticed.
the problem
it.
is I don't know them as well enough for me to be like,
Hans
oh yeah,
Zimmer
they're
from the second one. The electro theme is Hans Zimmer.
Yeah,
from Tasm.
I was talking about the original Peter thing.
All right,
Yeah.
since Jared, you've seen it 3 times. You said what? You've seen it 2 times.
We've only
This is
seen
the-
it.
this
We've
is the
only seen it
first
for
time.
one
Okay.
time. I'm seeing it tomorrow with Jared again.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it 4 times.
Now, I thought they were CGI Stan Lee, and
No,
did
no,
you
no,
notice
no, no.
anything?
No,
No, they don't do that anymore. In fact, the Simpsons were not allowed to do that because they recently did like an Avengers Simpsons thing, and they wanted to use like archived recordings of Lee, but they said they're not permitted. They don't want to use that.
they don't want to Tarkin him basically
Yeah.
like they did in
Right.
Rogue
Well, then
One.
I wanna
I
say-
thought they would at least have like a photo of him on a wall.
They
or,
did that
you
with the
know,
Netflix stuff. They kind of kept it in like visual.
Well, to be fair,
cameras.
that end scene where that old man's talking to MJ at the end, I almost thought that was kind of their
Yeah, I thought
their
that's what
subtle
made me
nod
think
to Stan, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that his daughter is in control of his estate right now, and I know because like there were people that were not his someone else is in control of his estate, but like one of his kids like abused his estate for a very long time.
His
so-
estate is basically a fucking mess right now.
Yeah, and I know so many comic book writers have like come together to like try and make sure that his legacy is preserved. So, well, it's sad we don't get to see a lot. I mean, granted, they still dedicated it to him at the end, but I
And
kind of
Steve
get
Ditko.
and Steve Ditko and
Always
Dan
likes-
Slott and Michael Straczynski, but
Fucking saw A.V. Everett. I'm like, get that fucker out of here.
Dude, did you see how big her name was? Pascal. Wow. Like, I'm sorry. I should have.
Yeah, you should be sorry. You know, edit that out of the video, all right?
I'm in
It's in the
favor of
cut.
scrubbing Dan Slott's name out of the film. I'm all in favor of that.
By then, this is the reason I have a black eye whenever this is on. It's really
Oh,
stupid
yeah,
saying
I will
anything.
be starting a petition here if anyone wishes to sign about to remove Dan Slott from the film. If anyone would wish to sign for my petition.
Online petition.
but yeah, and it, yeah, that's all I really have to say about Stan. Like, enough said.
There you go.
But like, I'm glad at least he still gets the credit. I mean, I'm glad Ditko does as well.
The thing I was the most hyped for, and I feel very satisfied with it. I'm sure a lot of people in this vehicle, from what I hear, are in the same boat with me. What was
ass.
Toby?
Yeah.
Was Toby coming back?
Yes.
Well, because like,
Because as I was telling them, the theater we went to was the theater where I actually went and saw Spider-Man 3 when it came out. That was actually the first movie I watched at that new movie theater. And so it's like just to kind of see him again in the same theater, you know, it's kind of like it's like a little roundabout thing
Yeah.
that I'm like, I really enjoyed seeing him again. I really enjoyed seeing Andrew Garfield too, because I actually never saw either Tasm movie in the theater. I only saw him on DVD.
I saw Tasm 1 in that theater.
I remember
Me
you
too.
saying you did
And
that.
man, that was probably one of the angriest moments I've ever been in a fucking theater.
I honestly never heard the Amazing Spider-Man be pronounced as TASM.
It's TASM?
before. Yeah, I never.
It's shortened.
It's what it abbreviates to is TASM.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how we call Spider-Man 1 through 3 the Raimi.
Yeah.
We just call it Raimi usually because it's just an easy way to
Or the Raimi
avoid
verse.
having a mouthful basically to try to say it.
The Spider-Man film is directed by Sam Raimi. You can just say Raimi.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if he was a director.
Yeah, he was the guy that made it. He's also doing Multiverse of Madness. He's the director
Yes.
for that.
Yeah, because I'm pretty because
He was at the premiere for this too. He
Yes.
showed up.
Because I'm pretty sure I don't think he directed anything. I think he produced some of this because they were like, "We need you in here."
Well, I know they consulted him on
Yeah.
the villains from the Raimi trilogy. They consulted him on it.
Same with Mark Webb with
The Andrew
with
Garfield
TASM,
stuff.
yeah.
Well, I
So-
read that they I'm talking here. I read that they
So
actually,
anyway-
you son of a bitch. This is why I transferred from Greenville. Can't work with this fucker.
I thought it was because you missed me.
No, nothing about you. We have our
It's because you missed discussing
extensive
stuff with
debates
me
about.
while I distract you from work.
Dude, yes, I'm trying to dispense all these orders. Jared, I'm like, shit. What? Hey, Jared, look at this inappropriate meme I have. But anyways, yeah, I read that they consulted. Didn't they study like Sam Raimi's fighting styles for the fight?
Yeah,
read
I
that.
did read that they kind of incorporated like his camera. I forget
Right.
what they call it, like a slam cut. I
Yeah.
think is what they
Yeah.
call it. Because they use that in this.
Yeah, that cut he does with like that he learned in like the Evil Dead and like the
Yeah.
where like he's basically smash cuts into stuff.
Yeah, like he like super zooms into
Yeah.
stuff, like you're
was-
crashing into it with the camera.
For reference, if you've never seen Evil Dead, that scene with some of the scenes during Ock killing those doctors in 2, like that part that feels like a fucking horror movie for no real reason.
Like, it feels like it's a different movie when you're watching
Yeah.
it.
yeah, like because
I think-
he did horror movies.
And I
before
think that scene's extended in the 2.1 cut, which
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know if I want more of these poor fuckers getting murdered.
I don't like 2.1.
I know you don't.
The worst
Your
for me-
favorite scene's that Jameson scene,
Fuck
or
that
he's in, where
Jameson
he's in the.
scene
Where he's
is
in
so stupid. I hate seeing that stupid scene. It breaks the whole tone of the movie. Fuck that scene.
I love that scene. That should have been the post credit for that movie. That
that
would have been amazing.
Yeah, if nothing else, they could have made that a post
should have-
credit.
that should have been a post
funny
credit
as
because.
fuck.
No, because we were a couple years before that started happening. Because I want to say the first Marvel movie I remember doing that was X-Men 3,
Yeah.
where there's a post credit.
Yeah. I know.
There's that one with Xavier talking to Moira.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back up. What were you gonna say before?
I was gonna ask you guys on, so the original Raimi Spider-Man
Right.
movie 3, how the common complaint there was too many villains and it was the
Isn't that
focus
ironic?
was too divided up. So compared for that movie to this third final movie of this well,
That's
not
it.
final, but
I never even thought about that, sir. That's a very good point.
Yeah,
how do you compare the two?
I think the thing that works here that doesn't work when they tried it in 3 was, I almost want to say it, and it's a little bit of cheating. I would say it's probably familiarity, because like we they didn't need to establish who
Yeah.
these people were. They didn't need to give us the origin because we already knew who they were.
Right.
Admittedly, probably this movie loses some points for people just because of the fact that it has to rely so much on.
On it,
Of
you
everything
watching
that these-
the other movies and
That's a
knowing
bit of
the
like the
back-
end game.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. I think that was probably why that worked here and didn't work in 3, because with 3, you know, they had already set up Harry being the new Goblin, so they had that plot line. But then you also had Sandman
Yeah.
getting introduced,
And then
we had
AVA Red,
Venom
and
on top
AVA
of
Rad's
that.
like,
Venom.
what if we put Venom in there so we could sell more toys?
Yeah, and
I'm
then
a genius, motherfucker. I masturbate with a Kenner doll.
And then not only that, you also had the shit with where they were introducing Gwen and they were having the whole storyline with Peter and MJ being on the rock. Like,
Yeah, honestly,
I
you're
think
hitting
the
that.
thing with 3 is the thing with 3 is not so many is not so much that too many villains is
Villains.
the problem with 3.
It has
the
too
problem
much
with
going
3 is
on.
there's too much shit going on. Period.
You actually hit what I was going to say. Like,
I mean, I still like 3.
The
Don't get me wrong.
problem with a lot of movies where they're like, oh, there's too many villains. It's less that. It's more the writing is shit. Because here's the thing. If I were to say,
Feels like they taped a couple
Well,
pages
like-
of the script together.
Yeah.
with Spider-Man 3 and a lesser film, Batman and Robin, a lot of that's just because they were trying to do too much too quick. It's actually kind of the reverse of the MCU.
It's similar to what TASM 2 was doing. Why
Yeah.
TASM 2 wasn't
Yeah.
wasn't anywhere near the shades of average that TASM 1 was, because
Yeah.
they were trying to
They were trying to
set so much stuff up
up.
so quickly.
Yeah. Whereas
it just
like
doesn't work.
like they were trying to develop a universe before they had a universe. You know, like it's much like how the DCEU tried doing with Justice League, where they're like, you don't need all that. You can just put these characters
they've
in.
rebooted it twice because they don't know what the fuck
Well,
they're doing.
and the problem is the pacing in those are so fucking fast because they want to slam all this shit.
They want to get to the point of Avengers 1 without having the setup.
for Avengers.
You know, they want
1.
to, or they want to. Maybe a better example would be they want to have the end game without the decade and a half of setup for it.
Yeah,
And that's not how it works.
whereas here, and admittedly, like the Lizard didn't have a huge amount of screen time, but to be fair, most of his plot is I want to turn people into fucking lizards.
Which they've said many times in this one movie.
Yeah,
I like how they even reference that in the movie. I'm like, oh, thank you for referencing that.
I mean, hell, him and Sandman really, as much as I like them being here, didn't get to do much. Like Sandman had a bit of a character arc.
I like how when he first showed up, he was still like, hey, like I'm
Peter, what's
okay
going
with
on?
you. Yeah, I'm okay with you still. Like it was at the end of 3. You know, and then later on you had it that, Ock came back and was working with them. I liked that.
Yeah.
They didn't
Yeah.
they didn't revert back without there being or they didn't have the conflict between him
Yeah.
and the Holland Peter without there being a reason for it. You know, they didn't just kind of mishmash and throw it in.
Well, the other thing I liked is that because these characters were plucked out of from their movies at a certain point, you can tell when that happened. Like with Jamie Foxx as
It was
Electro,
right when he
it's-
was getting overloaded right before he died. Or
Yeah.
with Ock mentioning it's the scene where he's got Peter by the throat. Because I thought the interview I saw with Melina was
The river.
that he was in the river when he got plucked
But he was
out.
already drowned.
Which because I remember me and Adam talking about it. Like,
Yeah.
then why would he be mad at Peter?
Yeah.
Because he was okay at that point.
Well, then I actually like that they gave that moment where like you can tell like the arms are possessing him, where he's talking kind of
Normal, and then he's like,
we don't.
Yeah, he just goes off with
Yeah.
like snap.
So I think that's one of the other things is that they establish where these characters were, so it doesn't feel weird if they're not as what you remember them as. If that makes any sense too.
What I didn't care for Sandman. He was a neutral. He was like either way for
Yeah.
most of the movie. And then at the end, when they all kind of decide just to kind of do their own thing because he kind of lost hope that Spider-Man could save him, then he just starts attacking him at the very end.
I think
And he kind of like groups up with the other villains to attack. I just felt like
I think
that
a
was
lot of that was just kind of like how Sandman was in 3 itself. Was that he wasn't really a bad guy.
He's just a dude who had a lot of shit luck and just.
At the end of the day, he even says he's like, I just want to get
go
back
home
to my daughter. Like I don't really care.
Plus,
Wait.
they had that line in the apartment where he says, "I don't trust anyone." See, they put that line there for a reason.
Yeah,
so he
to
doesn't
show
have
that he's like
allegiance.
okay, I'm accepting this for now.
But then why do you even show up to the Statue of Liberty to start attacking if that was the case? Like,
Yeah, there. See,
That
there are-
might be a plot hole.
Get out! I keep telling you to get out.
well, you want it to be a
Suck.
review or not?
he
That
does bring
might
up a
be
good
plot
point.
hole. I'm gonna have to think about that when I watch it again tomorrow. Maybe I'll come up with an answer for
My
that.
best guess would be he decided, if nothing else, I can at least get the box and I can use it to get home regardless.
You know,
I think
that
that's
makes
probably
sense.
what
and
he was going
might
for.
have just
He
joined in
wanted
with,
the
with
box.
Electro and Lizard because he's like, if I cause chaos, I can get the box.
I can go home and see my
Yeah, I
They
can go
daughter.
home.
well, what was the black dude's name? Electro.
Electro, yeah.
Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah, he wanted to destroy it, didn't he? Because he wanted
He wanted to
stay in that
destroy it
universe.
because he
they
got
were
he got
si-
some of that Stark energy and was like,
Because if he got sent back, the point where he got plucked out of the timeline was right before he legitimately just died.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because he got overloaded with electricity and information, and it just basically blew him up.
almost like he was like getting like he said getting digitized.
Here's the thing, though. This is what I'm trying to think of this. If they're now cured, when he goes back, what happens now?
They get to live.
I mean, like, if he's in that same position, though, wouldn't he still get fried?
I mean, arguably, but Marvel.
We don't
is
know
trying to
when they
set
pluck
it
him
up
back
that
in,
It's
though.
a happy ending.
Plus,
but-
plus like
It's
Strange
tricky.
isn't that much of an asshole. He probably would because
He probably accommodated for
especially
it.
because like the whole plot arc for Strange, even though he's not really in this for much, is that he believes that fate can't be changed, and Peter proves that.
Which I feel like is
sort
going to
of.
be an important plot point for
The multiverse of madness. Otherwise, I get Ock's motivation. I do kind of I can kind of get what they're doing, but like because for the most part, I think Lizard's just following Electro because like Electro's like, we're not gonna die if you follow me.
I love how when Ock came back for the fight, I was so
yeah.
don't do it. And then he turns on Electro. I was like, that's what I wanted out of that scene.
I also love when he holds the arc reactor and he's like,
because the Ock of the Raimi verse, he wasn't really a bad guy either.
It was just the arms messed with
Well,
his
I have
his
two
mind.
notes about him. One, just to reflect on what you just said. So I'm assuming the tentacles are made out of a different metal that's non-conductive because he grabbed.
Oh yeah, they would be because in Spider-Man 2 he built those so that he could deal with the energy from the tritium.
That's
I
right.
don't remember the material they said it was made out of. I
But
want to say in
it's-
the novel they referenced that it was something similar to adamantium.
Yeah, but
it wasn't totally
It would
adamantium?
actually protect him because they were used to deal with radiation and electricity.
Okay,
So yeah, it
Fun fact too in the novel, you know who is at that expo that leads to Ock having the arms fused to him? Apparently Hank Pym's there because it's mentioned in the novel that Peter recognizes him, and then he's like, "Where?" And then later on, it's like, "Where did he go?"
yeah implying,
So implying
that
that
he
he
shrank.
shrunk and was like trying to help shut
Oh,
it down.
that's freaking awesome.
Which I was like, that's why I love the novels. You get that kind of like minute detail.
Which they can't really
Also-
do it now.
I also love that Peter was smart when the nanites got fused to the arms. He
Paired it up and shut them off.
yeah. I'm like, thank God you remembered to fucking do that.
Well, the other thing I wanted to mention was, so if the point at which Doc Ock was ripped from his own reality was when he had Peter Parker by the throat. But Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, came back and it was clearly aged and had already dealt with those battles. So
There's a time
do they
displacement.
not come?
That I was thinking about that.
That's because they were both plucked from different time points. So when they were
from
sent
the-
back,
they're from the same universe, but at
at
different
points, which is a big thing with the multiverse because it's not just your universe; it's also moments in time as well.
Imagine like a huge web, like a big spider web. And I know that's ironic, but imagine a huge web that's got all these different branches off of it, or even like a tree
Or imagine a river, and basically,
that diverts off into
yeah,
different streams,
like
and
the main
little
time,
rivers and stuff
yeah,
like
the
that,
main
or
timeline is
ponds.
the center river, and other universes and other moments of time are different tributaries and streams.
But
and
they
stuff
can
like that.
feed off into the main one.
Yeah. So basically, Ock, Gabi, and Toby Spidey all come from one universe, but they also come from different points in time because Osborn has been dead for a long time. Even Octavius.
Well, even then,
referenced
Toby
that.
mentions that him and MJ have worked things out, which is right from where they were at the end of Spider-Man 3.
It has to be much later,
I
given
wanna-
how old Toby
I
is.
want to say they're probably married at that
I would at
point.
least like to
But you
believe
still
so.
said it was complicated though, so
Yeah.
it kind of implies something there.
Maybe him, Gwen, and MJ are polyamorous. I don't know.
Maybe.
I kind of like that. You mentioned this in the theater where Garfield swings down and he saves MJ, or it was basically in the moment that he saved, Tom Holland's MJ, where he couldn't save his own.
Yeah,
he
it's
couldn't
kind of
save
down
Gwen.
emotional too.
Mhm,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
emotional about
actually
that.
crying in the theater about that.
Yeah.
Like I think Adam looked over and I was like, not okay.
Yeah, no, I was like, it's okay, dude. It's okay.
Well, that's the good thing. These weren't just glorified cameos. They actually furthered the actor's emotional arcs. Like Garfield, through dialogue, you saw he went through a rageful.
Yeah,
you know,
I loved that when they were talking, when they did the responsibility line, that the other two finished it, and then
Yeah.
Holland was like, where did you hear that? And they both
Said
explained it.
from my uncle
Like,
Ben.
and Toby brought up he said it the day he died. And
I was like, yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, now I'm having flashbacks.
I actually give them credit. They did a lot of callbacks to both. I didn't catch as many of the amazing ones, but like they made a lot of reference to the Raimi films. Like they're like they made a lot of references to the memes, but there was a couple of moments that were exactly like the one, like
I'm something of a scientist myself.
the back. Yep.
Love that.
the back. When Sandman covers up Maguire, he puts dirt in his eye because you see the dirt
Little
come over the
visual key,
eyepiece.
you know.
Well, there's some other things. I can't think of them right off the top of my head right now, but like there are some like.
I
like
love the
very-
scene of Ock and Toby talking to each other. I love
Oh no,
that.
that was so
That
good.
was so
That
wholesome.
was really good.
Yeah,
And he's like, I'm trying to get
How
better.
are you?
He's trying
Yeah.
to get better.
no, like that was really really good. I also love how like there really was no villain, like big villain that they had to fight. It was about
If anything, you could argue it was Goblin.
well, Goblin, yeah, but like I like that it was about trying to save these characters because like at the end of the day, like Holland Spider-Man believed that like these Spider-Men killed those people when it was never the case. Because like I think one of the things that is kind of frustrating with a lot of the Avengers is they just straight up murder most of their villains.
And they don't even address it either.
But here I actually like that like Peter is trying to do the right thing by saving them as well. Like not just leaving them to this fate where they die.
I thought it was kind of funny when Goblin came in, and I could tell from the music that it was a more of climactic, like, oh, this is where the big villain shows up. Because in reality, this minor villain, compared to the rest of them, is rather weak, in my opinion. But he kind of swoops in, and then all of them gang up on him. And then he somehow, I don't know what his Silver Surfer
Oh,
glider.
Goblin
glider,
glider.
yeah, the glider,
Glider.
not Silver Surfer. Whatever that thing is made out of, it was able to cut the adamantium tentacles. I just thought, like, really?
One thing I liked was the callback to him talking to the mask.
Yes.
No, that was really
love that.
good. I also love him just smashing it to pieces as if he was trying to like
To free himself
self
of
from
it.
it. Yeah, that was actually
Weak
really
mask.
good. To be
Strong
fair,
rock.
he made it himself because like that wasn't originally a part of that
Because the suit is from the first movie where it was a military
flight
project.
suit in order for them to use the glider. But the mask is implied to be something he got from because he collected tribal masks in that film.
It's like something he modified.
Yeah. But
Now, Goblin himself, Defoe did stuff in this movie that you didn't even see. Like, he was able to emote,
I love that Defoe. One of his clauses was, "I want to do my own stunts."
and that you can see that in
Yeah.
that fight choreography. The flips they do, they're smashing through the floors.
that it
of
was
that
really nice.
building.
It was really nice to see a lot of fight without huge amounts of CGI.
Right.
Like,
I didn't notice that much. And Willem Dafoe's facial expressions,
That's what I'm
top
saying.
notch.
Yes.
You could just
One thing
tell.
I loved was that they had you going thinking that he was cured, and then when he started doing the voice, it was like, so
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like the hair on the back of my arms is like standing up because I'm like, oh no.
And there were little cues there whenever Ox says the man he turned himself to a monster. That expression that he gives, he doesn't even say a word to him. He just looks at Ock, and you know that he's not Norman.
Yeah,
yeah.
you can just tell.
Plus, he was just way too cooperative at the beginning. You
Yeah.
knew he
Yeah.
was going to turn.
That's what he does.
That's one thing I always liked about Raimi Goblin is you can't tell if like who is in control right there. It's kind of like a little bit of like a split personality, but
Yeah.
they're both so good at impersonating each other. You can't tell who is in control and who isn't.
Yeah. Also, like here, where they actually, which it's kind of weird because like you can't really just rid someone of a psychological illness, even if
Yeah, I
it
was
was.
going to ask about that cure.
I want to say what they did was they took the serum out of him. I think is what they did.
Yeah, and I guess
They
whatever
nullified
it did, it
basically.
like because he was weakened, it must have quieted the.
That was
Yeah.
was a criticism I had when I first saw it was. I know they have advanced technology in this universe, but
As I was saying, you can just
It's
fix
like-
a mental illness.
we got all these devices
Yeah.
now. You
That
can be
was
cured,
my
you can be
thinking on it.
cured.
Was
Yeah,
they
every
just
few
they
hours.
nullified the Goblin formula in him.
Yeah.
Well,
Then
for all of them,
to
like-
be fair, I'm gonna. Well, I mean, for a lot of the other characters, they like. I actually love when they cure Sandman. It's the same thing as the Collider.
You see the turbine.
Yeah, it was like they built a miniature like collider, which I thought that was really super neat. But yeah, for the others at least I understand because like with Ock, he's not really evil. It's just the
The
arms.
dude's been through a lot.
Well, then the arms AI are like
Are driving.
I
him
actually
nuts.
love that scene where he's like I've forgotten what quiet was like.
Yeah.
Where he doesn't have to hear the arms talking to him. Like that's really, in my opinion, what drove Ock over the edge.
And how
was
about
just-
that de-aging? My goodness.
Oh my god, it looked great.
He didn't
Yeah.
look like he aged today.
It's great. Yeah.
Not at all.
No,
And did they apply that to? They had to apply that to Defoe.
They did a little
They
bit.
did. They did a little bit,
not as much.
though.
Yeah, because I was watching this. Like, this guy looks great.
the guy who played Sandman though, they definitely de-aged him because
I feel like they made him at the very
To
end,
kinda
they
work
had him
around
like
it.
a few seconds of his
That
face.
was my only other nitpick. I was like, why the fuck is he just a sand monster? Because
Yeah.
like he could.
Because I was thinking about. I finally told him like, do you think they nailed him at the end of 3 when he's going away and he's like in the sand form?
Yeah, that's
I
like
was
the only
telling him,
thing.
like, do you think they got him at that point,
The only other thing I could
or maybe they got him when he was just coming out of the collider?
The only thing other
No,
thing
he's on good
I could
terms with
think
Peter.
maybe is because like his
That's why I
sand is,
thought he came at the end of 3.
my other thought was the sand in his reality might have different because like it's sand from different universes, he can't reshape it, and
Yeah.
because it's all mixed in with the sand that was his original body, he's having difficulties reshaping
Yeah.
just because like that sand is so different molecularly compared to the sand from that. Like that's the only other thing I could think of as like a. But it did kind of bother me that he spends most of this.
I got one. What did everybody think of Aunt May's death in this?
I thought
I like.
no, you know, you're
When-
gonna have a more
when she
critically-
got up, I even told Adam, I'm like,
Yeah, no,
you're
I would-
pretty spry for getting fucking hit with a goblin
I give Marvel
glider.
credit. She didn't just die. Like it was kind of because I think the other thing is she was in shock to the point where she wasn't that much.
Like maybe
in-
adrenaline was
It
still
didn't
going.
make much sense with her mortal wound because she got hit on the right side with the glider, then got blown up. Like
He didn't get blown up.
well, the grenade got thrown off through her
Well, I think it's-
left side of the body.
Yeah.
And Tom Holland was able to kind of like catch it, but it still exploded. Whatever, that's fine. But
Yeah,
then like she
I-
stands up with barely a scratch other than
As
that.
someone with a history degree, I mean, I've heard lots of stories of guys surviving grenades going off real close to them. I mean, it's just a matter of how far away from it are you, and what's around you that might kind of like take the brunt of the impact.
And to be
basically.
fair, I think Peter still had the nanite suit on, so he probably took most of that blast, even if he didn't
Yeah.
direct. But I don't know it.
That was more of a fire explosion grenade rather than a frag grenade that
Yeah.
shoots.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
It
too.
might have just
Yeah.
been shock more than anything, but
Yeah.
like I remember when I saw the glider coming around, I was like, "Oh, not this shit
She got
again!"
hit so fast, so
did
hard.
too.
Like you didn't even ask Adam.
Yeah.
I was like, "Not this shit again, man!
No,
I've seen this already."
I mean, at least it actually fucking worked this time.
It cut off an adamantium tentacle at half the speed that she got hit at, and kind of
Yeah.
stands up.
What's
I,
Aunt May? You don't fuck with Aunt May.
I
but
guess
honestly-
bitch defies
Well, then
science.
to be fair, at least she wasn't like 900 years old like the other Aunt
I miss
Mays.
Rosemary Harris.
That
Well,
was-
I do love Rosemary
And it
Harris.
was
but
like,
more
"Oh, hey,
pity out of
we
her,
got the
though. I like that.
responsibility line. It's a shame we didn't get this 2 fucking movies
Movies
ago."
ago.
That's what I want to discuss with you. They changed the. They changed it.
Actually, they didn't. That's actually the original way it was
That's
written.
actually how it is
Yeah,
in
in
the
Amazing
actual-
15.
No, I know.
Yeah.
The dialogue's the same, but they changed. No,
changed the
omitted
delivery.
Uncle Ben. They changed the focus to her. Now, I personally like that.
I think it works.
I'm still mad
I'm
that
still a little bit just like the lack of Uncle Ben kind of
Yeah.
pisses me
well,
off.
especially because like we see Aunt May's grave.
Yeah,
And
I
there is
know.
no Uncle Ben
There's
grave,
no-
and I'm like, come on, you
And-
couldn't have just put Ben Parker, beloved husband, and put it right next to hers.
yeah.
And Holland didn't even recognize Uncle Ben when they brought him up. He
Yeah,
shouldn't.
that's why I was
Yeah.
like, "What the
So
fuck?"
it's like, does he not have it? Because the Russo brothers, different directors than John
Yeah,
Watts, but they
I don't know if I like that.
There's got to be
at
a
all.
universe without Uncle Ben, right?
no,
Like, actually,
no,
I've seen.
no.
Yeah, I'd like to believe there's not, but I've seen a lot
peered
of.
into the Spider Verse, and
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
not.
No.
There's a universe where he lives.
Yeah,
Surprisingly,
only there he was bitten by the spider instead of Peter.
But I like it because I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that.
No, you're good. You're good.
Back to Aunt May though, she actually has something to do in this movie.
Yeah, that was nice
Yeah,
too.
that was nice to see.
She was just there for comic relief and jokes about how young and hot she was.
And how much she's fucking Happy Hogan.
I
Yes.
like how Feast was in there too. Like
Yeah,
a
that was
little
nice to see.
subtle nod
Feet.
to
There was actually a
comic
lot of
stuff.
nice subtle nods. Well, that and more towards the games because, well, she did work with Mr. Lee in the comics. They never called it Feast in the comics
Yeah,
originally. It was just
it's
it was
more
just
so like a PS4.
yeah. The
It's,
Feast.
it's called Feast now in the comics.
yeah. Now it is. But-
I did like the nod to how Tobey Maguire had the webs.
Oh, yeah, that was-
ingrained, 'cause
That scene was awesome.
But the comics, don't they have where he's supposed to design
Yeah, he
a
has.
web?
Yeah, the web
he-
shooters.
most of them have web shooters, whereas
Mechanical.
Toby's was a holdover from basically before Sam Raimi did his Spider-Man trilogy.
yeah.
James Cameron of Titanic fame, Avatar fame.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the director.
he actually had a script written, and they didn't go with it. They went in a different direction. But,
But
that was something in there. Was he had organic webs.
To be fair, if you've
so
read
Raimi took it.
if you've read that treatment, he took a lot from that. One of these days, we need to actually review the treatment.
Which
on
is
here.
interesting because in one of the early trailers for the first Raimi film, you can actually see Peter had the web shooters at one point, and then they went back and were like, let's do it like this. To the point that later on in the comics, they actually incorporated
Gave him-
that
yeah.
for a while. That was during
Because
the
he-
other.
yeah,
but
he
they
got-
retconned that after a little bit. But because organic webbings do happen in the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, there's a
in the
lot.
MC2 universe, where Peter and Mary Jane are married, and they have a daughter and a son who both have spider powers. Their son Benji has organic webbing.
Also, if their powers were based on magic, like Spider-Man Noir doesn't have web shooters, he has organic webbing. The Spider-Man of India has organic webbing. Technically Spider-Ham, because he was a spider bitten by a radioactive pig and then turned into
Has organic webs.
Yeah.
So it does happen, but that scene was funny. I love this scene when they were talking on the scaffolding because I was like, I told them, I'm like,
that was so
hey,
nice.
there's the shit from those leaks I've been looking at for months now.
that was
Oh, yeah.
so nice, just seeing the three of them get to just interact. Like, it was nice to just have a quiet moment where we got to see all three Spider-Men just talk.
I
They
love
had
how
a
that-
few quiet moments that I really appreciated. I was hoping that scene would last a little longer.
No, I could listen. I could have had like
Can
half
we
this
get a
movie
whole
just be the
movie
three of them
of
just sitting
just
on
doing
that
stuff?
scaffolding just talking.
I love
about
that they
bullshit.
gave Garfield like some love in this. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
that.
He was
No.
out of the three. If you eliminate nostalgia, he was probably the most likable. He was so peppy. He genuinely loved spending time with these gentlemen.
What do we, the thing what they were doing with Toby is they wanted to make him feel like a mentor.
Yeah.
So he was very much kind of wise and he kind of guided the other two, which I kind of liked.
I love they showed him doing scientist shit because that was a complaint for years was that Toby's Peter didn't really do that kind of stuff or we didn't
Which
see
is
it. So
weird
I'm like,
because like in Spider-Man 2 he tries to tell Otto that his experiment's wrong or it needs
Yeah.
like there's a lot of times where he was
nice.
smart.
It was nice to see that finally on screen. Just so I'm kind of like, okay, the haters can like kiss my ass now.
Yeah.
I do like Toby criticism though. No dialogue between him and Defoe.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that was true. There was
I'm interested to see when this comes out what deleted scenes are
Yes,
there.
I hope
yeah,
they
'cause
put
there's probably shit tons.
So
of
I
stuff
actually
that
need to
we
go
didn't
home and
get to
still watch the
screen.
deleted scenes for Venom 2. Let There Be Carnage.
Because it wasn't really because Goblin had already left ship by the time Toby came, and then by the time he came back, it was
Then
I would have loved after the scene when Defoe stabs him. I would have loved like some kind of like a little quip between him and
that would've been nice.
Toby.
Well, once he's cured of the Goblin, and he kind of comes to and looks and sees McGuire,
And he's like, "What have I done?"
because that was his like, he had a bond with this kid. So you think he would have been like, for all he knew, he killed his son.
Yeah.
Well, then
don't know. If he
I
knew
love
that
too
you
that it
stabbed
was
him,
Toby who stopped
oh yes, who stopped Holland from killing him.
the Goblin.
Yeah, that was nice.
Kind of echoing that, like he was gonna kill the Goblin at the end of 1 for trying to kill Mary Jane.
Yeah, but he was.
But he stopped.
Yeah, which speaking of, Holland was straight up gonna U.S. agent motherfucking.
Yeah,
Green
I was like-
Goblin.
I
was
saw-
like,
I was
holy
sa-
shit.
I was having Falcon Winter Soldier flashbacks.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I think Peter almost did that to Harry during there. He took the gliders like, I'm gonna impale you because I'm
I was
fucking
telling-
done with goblins.
I was telling him in the theater, it just seems a little out of character though for Tom Holland though, because
To be fair,
he
he,
bonded with the original Defoe, the non-Green Goblin. You knew he had a split personality disorder, so you can't just go and kill the man. You know
kill him.
that that's not
It's
his
a lot
fault.
He killed his
for
enemy.
me. It's
Yeah, I
it's
guess.
it's grief.
well, to be fair, he's also 16, so
Right.
like
Yeah.
he's 16 and
to
grieving.
be fair, Peter Parker has been known to do that a lot. I mean, in the comics, after the original Green Goblin killed Gwen Stacy,
he was gonna murder
he
him.
flat out almost murdered
Which
him by beating
They
him to
actually
death.
call that because during that scene in the hotel, Peter actually jumps on top of Norm and just starts pummeling him.
Yeah,
Now,
which is
a-
straight up out of that comic.
Yeah,
I do like the pummeling scene between Tom and
That was
Defoe.
some
I thought
decent
that was-
choreography in that.
Yeah,
For,
like
for the I didn't really like Shang-Chi's. Well, I did to an extent, but a lot of the recent MCU fight choreography, I'm not a fan of. But this, it kind of brought back that.
I thought it was funny when he grabbed him by the belt and just.
oh, he
like,
fucking
I thought that was
Yeah.
funny.
tombstone pile drived him.
Dude,
Holy
But,
shit!
What are some other instances of that where Peter has
Well, just going by the Raimi films, when like you said, when he's like
He-
MJ and I, we're gonna, and then
yeah,
Peter got his
he
second win.
beats him there.
I think he almost murdered
the thing with Harry, but I don't know
Yeah.
if that counts because the symbiote was feeling
well, that,
that.
well, that and Garfield. I meant when Garfield, like, he almost murdered that Harry after killing Gwen.
Yeah. In the comics, there's a couple different times
Back
he's
in
almost,
Black with Kingpin, where
he beats Wilson Fisk to a pulp,
And then
literally
threatens to
shoot web fluid down his throat and kill him.
yeah.
Because he
killed
killed
That
him.
would be
Because he
a
tried to kill
pretty
Aunt May.
cool way. I never really liked Wilson Fisk as an enemy though, because
Well, that's because it's
No, not
fucking
really.
stupid that he loses to this fat fucker, despite he
Yeah.
can No, I agree with you, man. Speaking of Wilson Fisk,
Fucking
who
Charlie
here-
Cox,
Come on,
baby.
fucking
I love
Matt
it.
Murdock.
When I saw the cane, I was like, yeah.
He caught the rock that went through the window, and they're like,
How'd you do it?
I'm a good
I'm
lawyer.
a really good
I'm
lawyer.
like, yeah, he's still fucking Daredevil.
I'm wondering what might happen before they did the spell at the end that fixed everything. I was almost wondering, it was like, you're gonna have to get a good lawyer. I'm like, I mean, Jennifer Walters is practicing down the street. You know, you could get She-Hulk to do it.
Also love that they got Murdoch. I wish we could have gotten a scene with him at, like, going into damage control, which fuck off with damage control and their fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
But I almost wish he would have been like, you stop right there. These kids, Peter, don't you say a single word. Who are you?
your lawyer.
I'm your lawyer, Matt Murdock.
you gotta
Murdock.
say
Production.
the biggest victim in this whole movie is Happy. And he went through
No,
a big
Happy got shit
breakup.
on throughout this whole
He
thing.
got he goes
Happy.
through a big breakup. And
His
then
apartment
house
got
gets
trashed.
destroyed.
Yeah.
And then
Then at the end, when he's calling back to Tony getting killed,
Yeah, that was
That was
pretty rough.
Tony dies, then his ex dies, and
He doesn't remember Peter at all.
yeah, he doesn't remember his, the son that he was bonding with, whatever.
What did
Yeah.
you guys think about the ending? Kind
Oh, this is the best One More Day I've ever seen.
yeah, I'm like, wow, this is infinitely better than anything Joe Quesadilla ever fucking created for
I
Marvel.
hated that black screen with the white text. What was that about?
The credits.
Yeah, those were pretty
That
shit.
doesn't make any sense.
I'm looking at the
You should cut
word.
that out next time.
I'm looking at the words and I'm like, get the fuck out of the way! I can't fucking see.
There are words there, motherfucker.
You see that video?
Yeah, that's
Alright.
yeah,
Where
that sounds
Toby's
really
flipping
familiar.
out of the
Oh
paparazzi.
yeah,
Yeah.
Get out of the way! There are cars there.
I was
motherfucker.
thinking that when I saw it too.
I can't fucking see.
That'd be hilarious if they made a reference to that. In the movie.
Honestly,
I'm
I-
disappointed
That
when
would've
Toby
been
showed up. He wasn't doing the dancing out of 3
No, that
when he's
would've been
walking down the
amazing.
street.
You know that's
would've
gonna be
been
edited out of that.
There's gonna be an edit.
There's,
of that.
there's gonna be so many fucking edits for the portals in this movie.
My biggest thing is I really want Andrew Garfield, after years of getting shit on for stuff that wasn't really his fault.
Yeah,
I really hope that like he gets to see just how many people appreciate his version
yeah.
of Spider-Man
yeah,
and how
people
much
will
like
like
they
it
love
as
him.
time goes by now.
Yeah.
But even now, before I saw this movie, I'm warming up to his not the movies necessarily the movies, but
his portrayal.
his performance. Yes. And honestly, I think they took it a little too far. That little bit with Toby's like, "You're amazing." I don't think that was necessarily.
Oh, that was
love
just
That was-
referencing
that was
the fact
so-
that
that
his
was
movies were
cute.
called
I
I
felt
love
like
that.
it was definitely a nod
was
to
cute.
how many.
I know, but it's
fans'
like,
reception.
yeah, but he's still got enthusiasm for this role. He still loves playing this role.
Getting back to the ending real quick, I'm kind of two minds of the ending. I like we got to see Peter actually make the big sacrifice play that
Yeah.
like,
That a Spider-Man would.
A Spider-Man would. I will admit it's kind of a little annoying that he completely like separates these people out of his lives, even though like it's not like he needs to be completely fucking alone. I'm more upset with it more because like I know eventually he'll see MJ and
Ned.
Ned again. Hell, he might even reconcile with Happy. For me though, it just I'm fine with it, but at the same time, I do think it's kind of annoying because it's like, dude, you just have to tell them. like I don't really understand what the big deal is. Other than like I get like you're afraid you'll lose
They're
everyone
setting
again.
up to he's gonna meet the MCU version of Gwen and fall in love with her. Obviously, it's what they're building
I
to.
fucking doubt it.
I actually kind of like the one thing I didn't like was that the extremely long pauses of staring back and forth. Because for someone like MJ who doesn't know this guy,
Yeah.
I would make it really
Yeah.
weird, despite how much chemistry you think, or like that familiarity.
Well, maybe she remembers a
Yeah,
little
I
bit.
kind of wanted it to be like, you ever like look at somebody and it's kind of like a
Yeah.
deja vu feeling,
Yeah.
like you've seen
Yeah.
them before.
I do think that was
I
some of
think
that,
That's
especially
what they were going
yeah.
for with that.
I felt like it was just dragged on just a tiny bit too long. In my
That's
opinion.
I also
fair.
find it-
I can kind of see what you're getting at.
I also find it kind of dumb that like. And to be fair, this is the thing I always have with Doctor Strange, where he's like, everyone's gonna forget you, even me." I'm like, bro, you're the Sorcerer fucking Supreme.
Well, he's not anymore.
No,
That's
no, no,
wrong.
no.
Oh, fuck off with
Because he was
that.
dead for 5 years.
Just because he's no longer the Sorcerer Supreme doesn't mean he suddenly doesn't know how to do certain bits of fucking magic.
But reality, though, it's such a simple spell of just making Peter forget everyone. Like that, he couldn't
Yeah.
have just done that in the middle of the movie, or like.
Then to be fair,
I get the spell like.
yeah, if we're
not
gonna
out of control,
talk
but-
about big issues I have, my God, the portrayal of Strange in this is really fucking annoying. Just because it's like, bruh, it's a simple forget spell. Like just because he's asking you so that his friends and loved ones can remember it.
Well, to be fair, Peter should have planned that.
I mean, to be fair,
beforehand.
Peter should have
Why
planned
couldn't-
that.
my thing is, why didn't he just stop the spell and wait for him to finish? That's why I was expecting him to stop the spell every time. But
Well,
he just
wouldn't-
kept adding rings and rings.
Yeah, no, I mean, granted, that's Doctor Strange. He can be kind of
He can kind of not think things
Through.
all the way through.
But if you think before they do the spell, they would have a conversation. Are you sure? Is there anybody you want to remember?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, he's mad that Peter didn't just talk to the MIT lady. I'm like, he's 16.
Yeah, he's a kid. See, this
He's a
is
teenager.
that's why I like this. Is like a it's like a
Well, like 18, I guess.
Well, that's why
but-
I like. There's that scene later where he's like, after all this time, I still forget that you're just a kid.
and I think that's also to remind the audience too. This is just a kid. This is a coming of age story. He's Spider Boy to Spider Man. So by the end, he's disassociated with the Avengers. He's on his own. He made a new suit, which I love that new suit, by the way.
Yeah, I like that it's handmade. I'm like,
Why it's
cool, he's
handmade?
not
I don't
getting shit
understand. I don't
gifted to
understand
him
why it's like
anymore.
fucking glowing. Like it's fucking like
Yeah, it's a
Like,
little bright.
it's like well, it needs to be like the comic, and I'm like, yeah, but it looks like it's made out of like fucking spandex, and
That's what it's made out of in the
well, I know what
comics.
it's made out of in the comics, but like it, I don't know, it looks even cheaper
it's
than
like
it
a
should
Halloween
be.
costume.
I like it.
I mean, I
do
like
hope
it.
that they
I
still incorporate Tony Stark
No.
improvements.
No,
in
you don't
there.
have that
I don't
no
want
more.
that.
No more,
You
no
don't
more
want
Tony
that.
Stark shit.
See that? I think that this was.
But he was his mentor. That was the
But
whole.
not. Well, this is cleaning the palette though. This is now he's on his own.
Because
He's fixing that because like a lot of us didn't like that shit.
Yeah.
I think for
Especially
me
'cause in
the
the comics he hates Tony.
well the problem with the suit I had was more just the fact that it looks like it's made out of. Okay, not spin. I shouldn't have said spandex. My complaint with the suit is that it looks like it's made out of like plastic.
Like a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
I can kind of get you on that.
Like
one.
if it looked more cloth like in the which clearly that was due to the CGI they put because that's clearly
Yeah.
all CG at the end. It's more just it looks off in a way I can't really explain other than it what it looks like polyester or like pleather.
Yeah.
Maybe
Which-
they did that just to make it look brighter and.
I think
more
that is what
effective.
they
It was only
did.
like 7 to 10 seconds of screen time.
Yeah,
if
at least-
that.
Well, then at least with like the Raimi suit, the Raimi and the TASM suits, even though I know they're made of spandex, they still look like they're not going to fall apart
Right.
in a second.
So out of all the villains in the film, who was everybody's favorite in this
I think
performance
we all
wise?
have the same answer.
Is it Defoe?
I hope it's
I would
Is
say
everyone
Defoe.
else going to say Defoe?
I mean, to be fair, Defoe and Molina are both so good in different ways. It's
they're
hard for me
show
to-
stealers in whatever scene they're in.
Yeah.
It was really
Honestly-
interesting to see them play off of each other.
I
Yeah.
like Doc Ock the best because he was a villain and then he stayed true. Once he got the chip fixed, he stayed true. And
Mm-hmm.
as soon as he showed up at the end, I knew he wasn't gonna turn. I was like, nope, he's gonna turn his back.
I also
on.
still love when he held the arc reactors like the power of the sun in the palm of my hand, and I'm like, well, not only that was a great callback, I kind of just love him like just being mesmerized by the arc reactor. It was kind of nice.
Which you could have got more out of that, you know. I mean, Electro was kind of into it, but I wanted to see kind of Ox. Well, then again, this is already a stuffed movie in my opinion, so why would I want them to add more?
Extended cut, 4 hour.
Oh my
It
God.
probably is an extended
4 hour
cut of this.
extended cut.
Two-parter. See, I think it should have been a two-parter.
Gotta be like
Maybe.
that. Gotta be like that 4 hour extended Christopher Reeves Superman 1 cut that I have.
Zack Snyder.
No, the original.
No, I know. I'm just
The
kidding.
original Christopher Reeve. There's a 3 hour TV cut.
Dude, I don't know if I can go that far for any movie.
It's kind of boring. It's just honestly, it's extended scenes.
Yeah.
Like that scene where that guy's walking to go meet Lex. It's like 30 minutes. I'm like, dude, this is too fucking long. Get to the
Yeah.
point.
Even though I thought it was going to be a bit, I actually thought they did Michelle a lot better in this than I thought the trailers made it look. Like,
I'm still kind of annoyed by her, but I've been annoyed by her in like all 3 movies.
my problem with Michelle is that she's written like how a lot of these newer comic book stuff write female characters, where it's like, We don't want them to be damsels in distress, so they have to be
sassy
and
sassy to a point where it's like no one would talk like this normally.
Especially
Yeah.
to something like Strange.
Yeah, no one would talk like that.
no, oh
Like,
my god, that's Scooby Doo line.
They wanted to have it not be over exaggerated, but in trying to do it, they went over exaggerated to the opposite side of
I
the
mean,
scale.
she's still not as bad for me as like Amber from Invincible with how they changed that character. Which, but I will admit, I think she was a lot better than what I thought the trailers made her out to be.
So one of the things, remember when Ned was talking to Doctor Strange, and he was saying like, "Are we related?" or something like that. Where I got magic, my wrist hurts or whatever. And then at the end, when he was doing the portals, Doctor Strange looked at him and was like, "You did a portal?" I was kind of hoping that Ned would get to keep that like little
sling ring.
device,
The sling ring.
because and
I think that might lead to maybe Doctor Strange is like you want to get some training,
Right, because what do you do with Ned now?
I don't know. It's really up in
he
the
should
air.
have
What's
a
going to
little
happen
bit
with
more of an
him.
important role because he gets undermined a lot. And
Well,
I think,
the problem is I don't know if Ned and him are going to remember that because without
That's
Peter's
true.
memory, I don't know if they'll remember anything from that fight.
Well, it's like Darcy. They find it, from the Thor films. They put her in WandaVision.
They did put her in WandaVision, but that's a little different just because again it's not like she had her memory.
No, I know, but they find places to put these side characters.
They find a new role for them.
Yeah.
basically,
Well,
is what he's trying to say.
I do get that.
so
but
maybe that's going to set up something.
I would hope so, but I
No,
don't
he's gonna
know.
be the Hobgoblin, obviously.
I'm so glad they didn't do that.
No, I actually kind of love that at the end where he's like, "I promise you, I'm never going to turn evil."
Yeah,
It's like that was kind of cute.
I was expecting a remark from McGuire at that point, but that was a funny line.
So do you have a best friend? You did. I was like, oh, now we're gonna get Harry.
What happened to him? He died
in my arms.
I'm like,
Thor opens, James Franco comes out.
Well, they're not gonna
No,
do him
dude,
because
I know.
he's getting he's
in a
under
lot of-
fire right
he's
now
in a
for
lot of
sexual
trouble right now.
assault
Yeah.
allegations.
Yeah, you don't want that in this movie.
So you think that's why they chose Defoe instead? Then?
Well, they chose
no,
Defoe.
they chose
because
Defoe because
people
everybody
love
loves
Defoe.
him.
everybody loves
I love-
Defoe
I- yeah,
as Green
yeah,
Goblin.
I actually really love the.
He actually he wasn't supposed to be in any of the other two Raimi films. Defoe was, but he had such fun with it. And like I remember seeing an interview with him where he's talking about like he's like a lot of my acting friends were like, why would you take that role? Like it's gonna be corny and it's like a kiddish kind of movie. And Defoe was like, I took it because it would be fun.
Yeah.
And like he had such fun doing it. Like he did a lot of the stunts in that film. He was willing to stand for hours and have them put the suit on him and stuff. And he improv'd a lot of stuff in those films. Like the scene in the original movie where he's on the table and like the bar gets put across him and he's like, it's cold. That was an improv that they left in because
Yeah.
they thought it was hilarious. But at the end of the whole thing, he told Sam Raimi, he's like, hey, I just want to let you know I had a lot of fun doing this. If you ever need me for anything, get in touch with my agent. I will be more than happy to come back and shoot whatever you want. And Sam Raimi, who at that point had already started working on 2, he wrote in that scene in 2 where the ghost of him is talking to Harry, purely because he's like, I can get him back, so why not put this in there?
Which and to be fair, I actually really love the new cobbled together suit he has
He's got
at the
the
end
purple.
with the well, not only that, like I love with the cloak and like it was kind of cool to see him wear like kind of like a hat, like a goblin hat. I liked how he had like the spike.
Yeah,
The
from
spike
one.
Yeah, there's
Assassin's Creed blade, yeah.
yeah.
And you can hear that in the sound design. You can hear that material kind of as he moves his joints.
Then he
move.
kept his fucking pumpkin bombs
I
in a
was
goddamn man purse.
I was waiting for the pike to come out that he tried to attack Toby with at the end of the first movie. I was waiting for
That
that
would've
shit to
been
come out of
amazing.
nowhere
Now,
and
it
be
didn't have electricity. Kind of would have been cool, but
I
whatever.
don't think it had electricity.
No, I
in
don't
the
think it
first one.
did.
I don't
Oh no,
think
it did. Remember, it
did it?
sparked
Yeah,
when
it
it
sparked.
when
It
it
was
propped
like
up.
a hell of a
came
time,
over,
yeah.
yeah. But
But back to Defoe, like
even then, like we watched the panel that he, Molina,
Yeah.
and Jamie Foxx did, and like Defoe was just like he basically was like, I'm having fun, and even then, even Molina was having fun, even though he's like, I'm in it for the money. It's
Yeah.
like
he's honest.
happy to pay
Pay the bills,
Otto.
Otto.
That's awesome.
I didn't really have a lot of complaints with this movie other than I didn't really care for the stuff with Strange just because like it was so short and a lot of times it just came off as him being just annoyed.
I almost want to say that knowing Toby and Andrew were going to show up kind of had me like the very early part of the movie just being like, cool, can we get to the part where Toby and Andrew show up? Like that would probably be my only thing, but that's kind of like a personal thing for me just because we were so invested in all the leaks and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I think that's where that came from. But like even then, like even knowing it was coming, like that moment when they both showed up was still like
Amazing.
I mean, I had warned everybody at work, like, if you go see this at the 10 showing, I will be starting an applause in the theater, just so you are aware it will happen.
Yeah.
I stayed true to my word, and I started it for both, so...
I did it for Jonah J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, when we went and saw Far From Home, he started an applause in the theater when Jonah Jameson showed up.
I guess that's probably my only other complaint is just... We have Jonah, but like he does barely anything in this film.
Yeah.
As much as I liked seeing him, like it was just he was just there to make Peter's life a living hell.
J.K. Simmons was like, he's not really the same character he is in the Raimi films. He's kind of more of comic relief.
But also, other than Spider, well, there's now that they kind of restructured what the Bugle is, you know.
Yeah.
There's no real
He's
connection.
basically Alex Jones on InfoWars.
Right, and
Which again is taken from the Spider-Man
PS4 game.
I can't see this Peter actually working for this man. So that's fundamentally changing the
Jared, plus newspapers are dead.
Yeah, I was about to say like
physical
this
media and paper. I need it.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know what he's gonna do now.
You just gotta pay your subscription and get it on the internet and then print it out.
Yeah.
That's how most newspaper websites do this. You get 2 free articles and then you gotta pay.
Yeah. I also wonder if this will reach out into space, and if not, if Fury, because he's off Earth, he'll actually remember Peter, but I don't know.
See, yeah, it raises a lot of questions what this spell did.
Like, what's the range on this
It's
thing?
like everyone, so I'm assuming everyone in the multiverse, including everyone that knew Toby and Garfield.
You see the silhouettes? Was that Rhino I saw?
Yeah,
I saw Scorpion.
We saw Scorpion, too.
Right.
I want to say, specifically, I want to say Scorpion from Into the Spider-Verse.
I almost want to say I saw Kraven in the background, too, at one point.
And also, Venom was affected, so he knew. So
Because I saw somebody, like, holding a spear, and I'm just like, is that fucking Kraven?
Yeah, it probably was Craven. Speaking of that, Venom seems kind of weird because I guess he's back in his universe.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Well,
But he did leave
symbiote.
behind a bit of his symbiote.
Yeah, the symbiote's still there, so I'm wondering, I'm like, are we going to get Topher
Use
Grace
Grace
back?
back?
Are we going to get a new Venom? Like, what's going on here?
Well,
Is he going to meet Eddie Brock in college?
Maybe.
And that's where that's going to go from?
the thing about this is that
The thing is, I don't even think he can go to college because I don't think he has.
Well, listen, what they're going to do with the next trilogies are obviously they're going to bring the parents into it again.
Fuck
Even though
off.
none of us fucking want that shit.
They're not going to do
I don't
that.
want clones either.
No, I want clones.
No, I don't
Give me
want
all the
clones.
clones.
No.
God, no.
Clone Saga.
No.
I'll pay for it.
Dude, you can get Clone Saga with Chris Cooper's frozen head.
No.
That's your Clone Saga.
We get 2 Hollands. We get one that's blonde, and we get one that's the normal one. There we go.
The other thing is, I love how instead of getting just another stinger at the end, it's
We just
just
get a fucking
trailer for
I'm
into
fine
the.
with
for-
that because
I mean, it was fine. It was cool to see Ian again. It was cool to see the fact that we're getting Shuma fucking Garath. The fact that we're now getting one of the Disney Plus villains from What If as the actual.
yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh
Strange
my
Supreme.
god, man, I gotta fucking watch that damn thing now.
Yeah, you and I haven't watched that yet.
I've said my complaints before. It doesn't push boundaries enough for me.
Yeah, that's
So
my bigger.
It's whatever.
I'll probably have to.
Might
watch
have to
it
hit
at
Wiki
some
and just
point.
fucking read the plot summaries.
Yeah.
What about Flash Thompson? I don't see much character development for him.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that Flash sucks.
The MCU Flash is fucking terrible.
He's just there to
He's
be a
annoying.
fucking
Yeah, there's
joke.
I can't see this one ever going off to Vietnam.
Exactly.
Yeah, I certainly don't think we're gonna see this
Agent
Flash
Venom.
Thompson become Agent fucking Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Venom does know Spider-Man because I was thinking he was brought back into the world because it only affected people.
Well, the theory
Hive mind.
that I've seen is it's the hive mind. So, being in that with that hookup, the symbiote there remembers the Raimi one killing the Raimiverse Venom because of the hive mind. So basically, even though that Venom has never met any of the Spider-Man from the different timelines, it remembers a version of itself getting killed.
Right. And I think that's actually pretty smart writing. I think it's retroactively kind of course correcting itself to the point of because I don't you know me I
Yeah.
don't like Venom coming after Spider-Man. I don't like that. But now they can actually kind of do Venom before Spider-Man and then be bringing that version of Eddie later on. I don't know.
I think we're probably gonna wrap it up kind of here. But so before we do, does anyone have any other
Final thoughts? Comments? Stocks are up.
At last, I don't know if it was purposeful, but at the very end, when they zoom out and they had like Zendaya back shot I thought that was like purposeful. It was like a
What shot are you talking about?
fucking ass shot. It was like, I don't know, the way they zoomed out. I don't know if you guys saw it. Obviously, I saw it from bringing it up, but it was like,
Like they zoomed out, basically. Is that what you're trying to?
At what point
Yeah.
did this is happening in the movie?
This is
it
the
was
very end, right?
It was
At
the
the
end.
very end?
It was the very end, where the memory was being wiped out, and then Tom takes one last look back, and it zooms out.
I
It's kind
know
of like a
where it's like it gets blinded by the sun, kind of for a minute. Is that the scene you're talking about?
I think so. It was
Okay,
kind of like
I think I know what he's talking
the,
about.
the reason I bring it up because it reminds me of like the director that's like obsessed with feet, not
Oh, Tarantino.
not Tarantino.
Oh, Dan Schneider?
Yeah,
The
Schneider with the
Nickelodeon
feet,
guy?
with the feet.
Oh, the
and
Nickelodeon dude.
I don't know why it just made me think of that because it was like if I was like reviewing the movie for editing, that would be something I'd be like, huh?
Can we cut that?
Yeah, can we like edit that? I don't know. Maybe
That might have just been just the way the camera zoomed out. But I
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a guy, but that it was like on the screen for like 2 seconds, and I just noticed it.
Like,
I guess.
The only final thought I'll offer is that I'm as someone who's been a Raimi fan for a long time, like even like during the TASM stuff and the early MCU stuff where I was getting flack because there was a period of time, and me and Adam have both talked about it on the show before, where there was a period of time where the Raimi films were really kind of looked down upon. And, like they were like, people were like, oh, they're corny, they're kind of kiddish and stuff, they're campy.
yeah.
God, how many times are you gonna jump on that American flagpole?
Hey.
For me, it
9/11
was
happened.
it was nice to finally see the actor that I enjoy the most as Spider-Man again on the big screen. After all these years, it was kind of like a euphoric kind of feeling that I can't really describe, but it just like it took me right back to watching the first Raimi film in the theater back when I was like 6,
Yeah.
and I don't know, it gave me a big ass boost of serotonin that I'm still not coming down off of. So
I've been likening it to like a high school reunion because I seen the I saw
you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah,
with it.
it's like you're being reunited with a friend from your childhood, and even he hasn't really done a lot of film since then.
And that's because he has a massive gambling.
Yeah,
debt
he had a
from-
massive gambling debt
Oh.
thing that went on.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean that being said,
Which I think this paid that off finally.
I don't doubt
oh
it.
dude, the deal,
he was like, I want the staff job, man. I want the money.
and also I hate to cut you off. You want to
No, go ahead.
Go
I
ahead,
was just
dude.
making a joke.
Okay. Also, they didn't kill him.
Yeah, that was
No,
my
thank
biggest
fucking
thing.
Christ.
I actually remember, like, I had avoided spoilers, and I was talking to Jared about. I had some minor ones. I remember I looked at you, and I was like, "Come closer, so the common folk don't hear us." And I looked at you, and I was like, "I want you to be honest with me, dude. They kill Toby in this, like, 'cause I needed to know because if I had to watch Toby's Spider-Man die in this, I probably would not have been okay.
No,
Like emotionally, I probably would not.
We
have
probably
been
would not be
okay.
recording
It
this,
would have
this
been, I
right
would have
now.
been bumped out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a following a familiar trope these days with these franchises is that you got to phase the old timers and get the new guy in.
Yeah.
So
No,
It's an easy way to get a gut punch from the audience,
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I remember people were saying like, oh, this is gonna be like Sony's Endgame, and I'm just like, then for
fighting
the love
Iron
of
Man.
God, please don't have
Tony-
Toby
don't
go out
don't Tony
doing a
Stark
Tony.
Toby,
Please
yeah.
don't do that.
It would have been too much, and they had just killed off May.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have made sense to kill
Yeah.
off McGuire at the same time.
I'm really
And
glad they
Spider-Man's
didn't
too.
because
Right.
it opens up still the possibility I might get a Spider-Man 4 at some point.
see, that's also the thing. What do they do now? Because they're planning Secret Wars, right?
And they're also Sony wants to do a movie with all 3 Spider-Man and Cole,
Yeah.
like the symbiote god.
Yeah.
They want to do something with that. So it's obvious that it's like they got him back. There's no way they got him back just for one movie. You know,
movie.
Sony's like, listen, it's going to be like printing money if we keep giving stuff to you guys.
well then I think the other thing is they want to try and do a solo film for both the other two characters.
That's what I was
too.
gonna say. It also applies to Garfield
You know,
because this is him kind of redeeming.
Yeah.
I think he definitely got redeemed.
Oh,
Definitely. I
certainly.
loved him in this.
He was great.
Your guys' final thoughts
Final thoughts?
before we.
I mean, I said my bit. Was yours?
Jaden?
I mean, I still have to talk more about like Toby's character. I do like that, like, even after all these years, he still kept his character as Spider-Man, and that's one of the reasons why I liked his screen time. I mean, yeah, that's all I gotta say. It's like, that's what I like.
That's your Spider-Man, basically, right there.
Yes.
I remember at one point when I was telling you, like, I'm planning this applause.
Yeah.
When Toby shows up, do I just say it's Spider-Man?
Hey, it's Spider-Man.
Why are you all clapping for him? He stole that guy's pizzas. No, I still remember when I saw 2 in
He's
theaters.
a menace!
No, I remember when me and my best friend from high school saw 2 in the theaters. For days, we would just be like, he stole that guy's pizzas.
That movie was so quotable. I love
It was the dumbest line, but we fucking loved it.
Like, I don't even know, Jared, if you caught half of the stuff we were quoting all day. Like, when we came back from doing Compost, we looked at Riley and we were talking about the cache photos for pictures of Spider-Man. And I looked at Adam, I'm like, oh, is he shy? We can get a picture of Julia Roberts in a thong. We can get a picture of this weirdo. Like, we're just sitting here quoting, and Riley is just like, Jesus Christ, I gotta get out of here.
No, you know, as someone who, when he was a kid, when I was a boy, I never imagined ever they would put Spider-Man on screen, because I grew up in a time where no
That just
one thought
wasn't
that
done.
was well. Not only that, we never thought it was possible, because that character was in development hell since like the 70s, and now there have been 3 Spider-Men that have been on screen.
It have been important to so many people.
And the fact that all 3 of them got to be in a movie together, which again, that was never thought to be possible.
And on top of that too, it's like they are actually like interacting as
Yeah.
well.
Like, it wasn't just like, oh, there they are on screen.
You
It
can
was
see the
there was
differences
more than
between
just
all
that.
3 of them.
like, and in general, this movie is just such a love letter to Spider-Man as the character. You know, it's not like we've all talked tonight about how much Maguire meant and how great it was to see him get that. Like, the fact that Garfield got to get redemption and I'm sure people are coming out there, they're gonna love Garfield. He's gonna be, some people are gonna be like, I loved him more than Toby.
Well, tomorrow it's like I might binge a couple films. I might go home and watch a couple things. Honestly,
You know,
throwing my Blu-ray set.
it was just so,
Euphoric.
forgive the pun, amazing,
Spectacular,
sensational, just
astonishing.
Amazing.
to just see these together. Like, even what flaws I can argue about, like, they just don't matter to me, because like, I'm seeing all 3 Spider-Men on screen.
Like that scene where they landed. You and I both were like, oh, as soon as that gets leaked, and
That's
I get
gonna be
an
my
HD version of that.
No,
that's
gonna
my
be
new goddamn wallpaper
on my laptop.
I might print that and get that framed.
Oh, dude, that should be a poster, like not a theatrical poster, but
No,
I'll
like an
put
actual
that out
poster.
at Walmart,
Yes,
and
no.
you'll see it and be like, oh, it's sold out. You'll look at me and I'm like, I got you one. I got the whole fucking pile. I bought all of
the
it.
against the OGP cabinet that says J on it.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, go see that. Like,
Recommend.
Recommend.
Movie of the year.
Yeah.
Movie of the decade.
No,
I guarantee you, even if we
Movie of the century.
go see it, this movie's gonna outdo Endgame in terms of MC, like
It's
in terms
already-
of MCU.
I think it already shattered records just the other day because I want to say the opening day income was 50 mil.
No.
And the
Which
other
I wanna
day,
say
it
is
already
third.
hit 100% in Rotten Tomatoes too.
Yeah.
When the teaser dropped, it beat Endgame's record in 24 hours.
you know
Like
why?
that's insane.
Like,
20 years worth of nostalgia.
not only that, we all had to put a big middle finger to James Cameron for fucking Avatar. You all need to go watch it like
we're gonna
7
make this
times.
outsell Avatar.
Watch
we're
it
gonna,
like-
we're gonna send this to the stratosphere.
Watch it like 7 times so we can go on Twitter and post a big Spider-Man glove with a middle finger and tweet it to James Cameron.
Sir, this is the 5th day in a row I've seen you in here. And it's
gonna-
only the beginning.
It's gonna be this. It's gonna be 5 out of 100. Now, I
mean,
gave you
I
my
told-
fucking money. Pony up the ticket.
I told him, I'm like, if there's a 10 showing Sunday after work, let's
Fuck,
go.
I might
Let's-
go.
Let's go.
I might fucking
let's
go
fucking
again.
go immediately.
It's gonna be like when I walked out of Dread 3D. When I went in. You guys want to go see Dread 3D? You guys want to go see Dread 3D?
I might even pull
Like
a
again?
Jared. I might even pull a Jared. Be like, Adam, let's get up early, go see it before I go to work, and then we'll go after work.
I don't know if I'm strong enough for that. I don't know.
I
if I'm
hate
strong enough
mornings,
for
and I'm
that.
even willing to consider it.
I just wish there was an IMAX theater. 'Cause some of these shots, this shot of him in the rain.
But don't go see it on a
that would
Monday
be-
because Andrew Garfield hates
that would
Mondays.
be fun, but IMAXs make me sick.
Oh, your pun is awful.
Thank you.
I thought about making that pun, but I felt it below me.
There's no such thing as a bad pun in this.
No,
country,
I
so.
honestly love his puns. He's got some.
But-
for
So
some puns.
we thank y'all for sticking around and
we've still
doing the
got-
video with us.
We still got more Spidey Mist coming up. Like, I know this is going to be like the highlight of Spidey Mist this year, but we've got more content coming.
We got shit stockpiled.
Yeah, we've got more content coming, guys. But yeah, just
Go see the
go see this
movie.
fucking film. I don't even know why the fuck you're watching this right fucking now.
Go watch it.
The fuck are you doing? Go watch this movie. But anyway, guys, I think that's gonna wrap it up for this. Once again, I want to thank you guys for coming.
Yeah, thank you all for joining us
problem.
tonight.
Yeah, just
Go see.
go see it. But anyway, guys,
Head
I'm-
empty. Only Spider-Man.
yeah, I'm Zongetsu 134,
And I'm Average Joe Squad.
I'm Jared.
Alex?
Jaden.
and as always,
We ask you
to remember the hyphen.
and take care.
Remember the hyphen.
I was like, what are you looking at me
Take care.
for?
Wait for you to turn the video off.
I don't have whip blood.
Fucking hit the button.